Hey, Happy New Year's everybody. Today I want to create a tutorial that's going to show you how to reduce the noise in the foreground of your Milky Way photography. And if you're like me, you try and sell big pictures or you sell through stock agencies, they always want a cleaner image. And this is a pretty simple way to do that. So let's get right into it. I have two images here of Bodie Island Lighthouse under the Milky Way. And let me zoom in and show you exactly what's going on. So on this side, I have a shorter exposure of only 20 seconds at ISO 4000 f2.8. And on this side, we have a longer exposure of 68 seconds at f2.8 ISO 1000. Now, you can see with the lower ISO, I have a nice clean foreground image. A few hot pixels that we could Photoshop those out. And it's a little underexposed, but I could brighten that. That's no problem. And since it is a lower ISO, the noise will still be a lot less than this side. So we got our sharp stars on this side, clean foreground here. So now we just got to blend the two. Let me just do some basic edits to them really quick. So we'll close this out. Okay, go to develop. I like to select both the photos first, and I'll bump up the sharpening a little bit. I can mess around with that later as well. I'll just do it right now just to get it started. I always check off remove chromatic aberrations, and it's one thing I always see a lot of photographers forget, so make sure you check this off all the time. Enable profile corrections, I'll check that off depending on the lens. Sometimes it stretches wide angle lenses too much, so I'll bring the distortion back down a little bit. And as far as vignetting, if it's too light on the corners, I will also bring the vignetting back down because I kind of like it. Compared to the longer exposure, it looks like this image is the white balance is slightly different. So what I'm going to do here is make it a little bit cooler, just so it kind of matches the other image, because I like the cooler tone better. Now for this photo, I want to increase the shadows, and I'll increase the exposure as well just a little bit. So now we have a nice bright foreground, and it's relatively noise-free compared to ISO 4000. So now we want to blend the two. Select both your photos. Go to Photo, Edit in, Open as Layers in Photoshop. My computer's recording, so it's lagging a little bit, so just bear with me. Alright, so now we have both the images on the same in the same document, and I like to work from a copy, so copy your images. Alright, so the top image is my sharp stars, and the bottom image is the clean foreground. So we want to blend the two. So for the top layer, we're going to put a layer mask on it. Next, grab your paintbrush, and if you hit the backslash, you can actually see what you're painting. So hit that just to kind of make life a little easier for yourself. We want to increase the opacity to 100%, and I'm actually going to make the hardness at 100. And we're going to start painting away. So this is going to reveal the cleaner foreground that's underneath. Just zoom in whenever you need to, and you really want to get as close as possible. We're going to refine the edge, but it makes life a little easier if you get this pretty accurate from the get-go. You can use the bracket buttons to increase or decrease the size of your brush as well. That's a little shortcut for you. Now, it doesn't have to be completely perfect. I'm going to try and get it as best as possible, but we are going to refine it, so when we do that, if you're not spot on, don't worry about it. So let me just keep on going really quick. Okay, so I'm going to hit the backslash again, and we'll zoom in. You can see that it revealed the layer below it, but it's kind of crappy on the sides right here just because I just did a really quick job. So now what we want to do is refine that edge. So I'm right clicking on this layer mask and then go to select a mask. Let me just zoom out so we can see what we're doing. Click Smart Radius. And we actually do this again just to kind of see what's going on. And what we're going to do now is just paint along the edge. And the refine mask does a pretty good job of distinguishing the top layer from the bottom layer. I'm holding down the space bar whenever I need to move across the screen. Increase the smoothness and the feather a little bit. Contrast will make a stronger edge. So we're going to keep that around the 20 range. Oops. It's lagging on me, so that's why it's jumping around. So just play around with the settings until you get something that you like. And what we can do now is we could reveal it and see how it looks. And we could actually fix this up even more. So I'm going to hit OK for now. Now I have the mask, it's refined. Let's zoom in. And you can see it's kind of, it needs to be fixed in a couple areas. Right here. So let's go back to our brush and we're gonna make sure it's on black. I'm just gonna paint this in. You know what, I'm gonna actually lower the opacity a little bit and we're gonna make it softer, a soft edge. So now we just want to fix this up and really fine tune it. Just toggle on and off, and you can see around the light it got a little messed up. So what we want to do is switch over to white. We're going to lower the opacity, and we're just going to go over the light right here. We'll toggle that back on and continue down. Oops. Make sure you go back to black. And we're going to bump the opacity back up. You know, this could get a little tedious, but it's really worth it in the end when you go to sell your pictures. So I highly recommend doing all this little extra work. Okay, so that looks pretty good. It's blended really well. And yeah, just go over it, make sure you didn't miss any spots. I did this kind of quick, just for the tutorial's sake. Once you're satisfied with that, merge it down with the other layer. And we have our new image with a clean foreground and sharp stars. So the next thing I want to do for this image is actually fix the lighthouse, because you can see it's slanted. So I'm going to put a little guideline right here, and for my the horizon as well. And again, I'm going to make a copy to work from in case I screw something up. Go to edit, edit, transform, and you can either skew it or distort it. We'll go with distort. Alright, that looks pretty good right there. You know, that's the only problem with wide-angle lenses. Sometimes if you're too close to the object or structure or building, it's going to distort it, and you may or may not want that. With a lighthouse, you want to try and keep them as upright as possible. So if it gets distorted, try and fix it if you can. It's pretty simple. Alright, so that's fixed. I'm going to make another copy of that. Now, there's a few things in this photo that kind of bugged me. If I was going to sell this, all these lights in this house right here, I would take those out. We also have these hot pixels right here, which we could clone out. Just go to spot healing, and we could clone out all these hot pixels. Yeah. I'm not going to do every single one, just because, again, I don't want this tutorial to take forever. I'm just going through like the basic workflow of what I would do to kind of fix up my image for a nice clean foreground, and this is just some of the stuff that I would go through. So the next thing I would do is fix up these windows. So you have all this light, and it's actually quite simple. We have a few options. We could either clone them, or we could do something like this and grab a dark window, edit, copy, and we could paste it. And now you see it create a new layer right here. This is our new window, and we could kind of put it right on top of this one. And then I could merge that down. We could take the healing tool and select this area and kind of just blend that together better. So that's one option. The other option would just be to put this on replace, and it'll paint. Here, let's do one more window. So I'm taking this point right here as a reference, so I'm starting at this corner, and then I'm just working my way. And you know, you could obviously make it a lot better. I'm just kind of doing this really quick. Alright, so that's how you would get rid of some stuff like that. You would just clone out this light right here, and then the next thing I might do with my Milky Way is dodge and burn it. So let's just do that really quick. So we'll just dodge we want to dodge the highlights of the Milky Way. Now it doesn't really look like I'm doing much, but I assure you I am. So if I turn this layer off, you can kind of see the small subtle changes I'm doing. And that's what it's all about. You don't want to do anything super drastic. You want to be as subtle as possible. Let's burn the shadows. Again, work on a copied layer. So if you go too far with burning and dodging, you could either lower the opacity and blend it with the layer below it, or you could just start over and create a new copy. So I might also want to burn and intensify these lights right here. So I'm using the burn tool to kind of just make these lights a little stronger. And we'll also dodge this light in between. Oops. Something like that. I might play around a lot more, but for now, just to keep this tutorial a little shorter, that's something I would do. And when you're done, you flatten all your images. Go to File, Save. Alright, so we got our new image back in Lightroom, and we could apply some more edits to it if you want. Maybe you want to make that Milky Way stand out a little bit more. So there's a couple options. We could use this paintbrush, or we could use the circular tool and just put a circle right over it, or oval in this case. And then we could bump up the clarity. You don't want to necessarily apply it to the whole image, because if we're adding clarity, that usually tends to add some noise, and we have a nice clean foreground now, so we don't want to add noise to our foreground. So you kind of want to be smart about where you're applying your clarity. You could apply it to other parts of the sky as well, but try to avoid doing anything to the foreground other than like if you want to brighten it some more or up the saturation. But anything that causes noise, you don't want to do that too much. You want to use it pretty sparingly. But that helped, exaggerate the Milky Way a little bit. And again, like I said, you could always increase the saturation or the vibrance. It's kind of personal preference at this point, but that's some of the techniques that I would use for my Milky Way photography. So hopefully this tutorial will help you guys sell more pictures or upload them to stock agencies, whatever you plan on doing with your photos. But this is how you get some nice clean images. So good luck in 2017. Can't wait to see what you guys create. Have a good one. Bye.